Good morning. So the topic of my presentation is Added Matters, Teacher-Student Relationship in American Schools. I got the opportunity to go abroad in 2013, so it was just at the time when I was finishing middle school. And a lot of people told me that it's not a good idea because I'm going to miss a year. And that is definitely true, because it's a lost year. Right now I should be graduating, but I'm held back 12 months. But honestly, the things that I got during my exchange are, you cannot balance the year with the things I obtained. Okay, so okay, so I was assigned to Oregon. I was chosen by the family. I didn't choose my state, but I was very happy with the place I got. Sandy is rather small. It's smaller than Poznań. Okay. But Portland it was in the Portland metropolitan area. So Portland is one of the America's largest cities. It was smaller than Seattle, larger than Miami, just to give you a picture. And it was 2 hours away from the beach, 3 hours away from Seattle. It was a very nice location. Okay, oh, sorry. My high school was built in 2012, so it was just a year before I got there. Okay, that's really blinding. Just a year before I got there, so everything was brand new, not a scratch on anything. And quite honestly, I was very surprised by the things I got, because my school, how did I, it's okay. Okay. I'm sorry, but I'm really not into technology. Can you please move to okay. Yes. So, this thing right there, above the baseball field, that's my school. The really tiny building from when you see it from above, but to be honest, it held 1,500 students. So it's larger than any of my schools ever had. We had a very large drama department, choir, art room, even automobile workshop. But what my school took pride in is athletics. So we had 2 baseball fields, a football field, football pitch, 8 tennis courts, the track and field. And we also had a swimming pool within driving distance of 5 minutes. So that was when I had my swim practices, my swim competition. It was living the dream. I have never seen any school like this before. And I had 150 classes to choose from. And I already had them pre-selected when I was still in Poland. But it all changed during the exchange program. Here you can see my classes for the first and second semester. So the slash separates the two periods. They were all really great. They were fantastic. They were very eye-opening, quite honestly. But what I would like to focus today on is the 3 main classes that changed me not only in the way of my education, but that affected me personally. So the first one is drama. The girl on the picture is my host sister Haley. She was really into drama. She's currently studying at the university in Oregon, theater, precisely. How did that happen? Oh, thank you. Next, okay. Not this one. The one before, okay. And okay, doing great. And drama, I had drama for 50 minutes every day, and that was just the beginning, because we were analyzing scenes, we were recording things, making preparations for drama competition, but I wasn't really a stage person. Haley was, she still is, and she introduced me to something that became my life in America. Because what was behind the drama class was the entire really extensive drama department. So in my school, the department did 3 plays every year. It varies from school to school, but we had 1 musical and 2 actual plays. And Haley was one of the actresses. I decided that I would like to get involved because I didn't like any sports that were predicted for the fall season. And they hired professional costumers for the production. So I was sewing costumes every day from 3 to 5. Monday to Friday, when there were drama rehearsals. But everything there was professional. They had to audition, they had to create the character, they had to even build the entire set construction. So they would basically get a piece of wood and they would cut out the wall, they would paint the wall, then had to put it up. They created the entire different reality. But the rehearsals were every day, and the set construction was still to be built. So we would go every Saturday at midday to the high school building, and we would stay there until midnight. Sometimes me and Haley had to drive people home, so we ended up in our own house at 2 a.m. on a Sunday morning. And that was regularity. But nobody really complained, because they saw a higher goal in what they were doing. Because what we see on stage is just the final outcome, just like I'm standing in front of you now. Because we don't see all the hardships that come with the things we see. And I saw their attitude changing throughout the time, because sometimes they were getting discouraged, but they were so motivated and they knew why they were doing those things. And the teacher was doing all the things with them, because he was painting the floor. He was not only coordinating, he was doing all the physical work as well. And sometimes they were like, I don't want to do this anymore. Maybe drama is not for me, even though all of them wanted to go to Broadway, almost all of them. And the teacher, he was very demanding. He was not only demanding in a way that you have to show up to practice, but you have to show professionalism. So he taught them not only respect for each other and, not only respect for each other in theater, but also for the hard work they have to do. No time there was wasted, really, and the teacher was so motivating, because he said, you have to do all those things to do what you really want to do. Because you have to go through all these steps to show the world who you really want to be and what you want to create. And he was the little engine that motivated the entire drama department. And to be honest, I've made my best friends in 2 places, in middle school and in drama department of Sandy High School. Because when you surround yourself with people who are so devoted to what they do, that drama was their entire life, really. They didn't have time for nearly anything else. But they were so into it, and they were so passionate. So when I was among people who didn't do anything half-heartedly, but they put their full potential in it, I just couldn't be happier, really. Now, anatomy. Anatomy was something that I was very anxious about, because I was going there as a person who was kind of into journalism, maybe social studies, like human sciences. I didn't know what I wanted to do, but not science. And I took anatomy because it was different. We don't have it here. We have biology, but that's plants, that's animals. And I got into the class and everything was serious. It wasn't drama at all. Everybody knew what they were doing, because anatomy was only available for people their senior and junior year. So when you're 17, you're pretty much directed at what you want to do. And all of them saw themselves in medical care, in the health careers. So I was sitting there thinking, okay, that might work out. And lesson by lesson, I was getting more absorbed with what she was showing to us. And keep in mind that I was really into human sciences. And I was learning about bones and muscles, bone formation, physiological processes, and some of my friends were like, okay, well, you like that? How are you not bored? And honestly, this is not boring, because this is knowledge. This is knowledge in its pure form, and knowledge is not boring. Because what can be boring is the way you're shown to a subject. And this is why I hate biology at school. Because the way we see things is that you get a presentation and you have to write things down. And then you go around and you don't really think about how photosynthesis takes place or how you breathe. And the point where all my knowledge accumulated was in the last 3 days of school, when I was supposed to take my final. And for my final, I got, me and my partner, we got a black bag, surgical equipment, like little knives, scalpels, scissors, and a dead cat. And you could smell the formalin all over the room. It was really sickening to an extent. But I remember removing the fur from the cat. I remember separating the muscles layer by layer, breaking into the rib cage, taking the heart out. We were comparing the color of the kidneys to a kidney of another cat. And I remember thinking that this is the single most interesting, not most fun or most exciting, but most interesting thing I have ever done. Because my final wasn't just circling B or writing an answer for 2 sentences. It was legitimately applying my entire knowledge from the year into this one particular situation, and I knew what I was doing. Because for the past 10 months then, she was always capturing us in this little anatomical bubble for 15 minutes a day, and she was just blowing our minds. And at that point, after I finished my final, I knew that I wanted to be a surgeon, and I still do. Because from a person that was thought that I might go into journalism, next year I'm applying to med school. Because this is the world that she showed me, and she changed my mindset 180 degrees. Honestly, it's something unforgettable. I don't have any pictures, and I didn't really think that you would like to see something that might be considered drastic, but it was something I wouldn't get to do here. And in 3 days, I figured out who I wanted to be, and a Polish school didn't show me that in 10 years. And now my favorite class, which is Advanced American Literature, it was obviously something that I wanted to be involved with. But at first, in the first semester, I got journalism. And journalism was over after half a year. And Haley was in Advanced American Lit. She said I might like it, because she liked it, and she didn't read. She read dramas, she read scripts, but not To Kill a Mockingbird. And I had to go to the teacher and not only ask him if I can join a class five months after it had already started, but if I can join a class that's advanced, because I didn't have any basics. And today, I cannot be more grateful that he said yes, because my Advanced American Lit teacher is so far the most inspiring person I have ever met, because he showed me a completely different way of teaching English. Because it was mainly about reading and writing, and we didn't go to class, and he said, so read a book. He said, for the next class, you read 21 and 22 chapters from a certain novel. And then we went to class, analyzed them, but not in ways like I do now in my class, when the teacher gives us the symbols and the motives we didn't notice. He was largely about context, because I can't say that The Great Gatsby is about the Spanish Revolution and American Dream, but he was also about reception of the novel. After reading Johnny Got His Gun, we had to create a written task, and I didn't really know what to do, because I was new. I always created something creatively personal. After every task I turned in, he always wrote a commentary, like an inquiry or his own reflection, or he was challenging me to challenge what I wrote. He was treating everybody really personal. He took a human being not as a group, but as an individual. He had those little sport excerpts from newspapers from Sandy. He knew what teams we were on, that he knew that Haley was doing drama. He knew that I was on swim team. He was always inquiring about that. And I remember thinking that this is so different, because everybody was relaxed, everybody was open, nobody was stressed out. And he provided me with the ability to speak what I really have in mind. Because having freedom of speech is one thing, but having what you say listened and actually heard is completely different. I was a new kid in class who came from thousands of miles away, and I was so open to criticize, to say I don't agree with the author, or most importantly, I don't agree with you, I don't agree with the teacher. And he was okay, because he wanted to hear that. He wanted to hear what we really think, and not only this typical student position when you agree with the teacher. I'm supposed to write an essay for 4,000 words as a part of my high school diploma. And as a person aspiring for medicine, I should probably write it in biology or chemistry, but I'm not doing it. I'm doing it in English with a focus on American literature, because he inspired me so much. Even though I'm now linking my career to this, this is what I want to do currently. And he was the only teacher that I called for Mr. I didn't call any other teacher that. And not because he was executing it, or even because he was a teacher, but because I had so much respect for him, not only because of his profession, but also because he was such a great human being. He was such a great person who could influence young people in such a magical way. Okay. A lot of people say Americans are ignorant, especially people who have never been to the United States. But America is like thousands of millions of people. Do you really mean that? Do you really mean all those people who create life-saving innovations, who study at top universities and top research facilities? Like, seriously? I mean, I'm not going to lie. Not every person who I asked knew where Poland was on the map. They knew about Holocaust. They knew about the tragedy of World War II in general, concentration camps, but not the precise location. Moreover, I was really frustrated when I was getting questions like, do you have cars? And do you have technology in general? And then, do you have iPhones and do you have Starbucks? Because that's most important. And I have to explain to them that we have the wheel and we use money and a border. But to say that all Americans are ignorant? I mean, we all had geography, right? So what is the capital city of Burkina Faso, or what are the neighbors of Mongolia? Because nobody wipes it in our faces because we're Europeans. And we all say that Americans are so ignorant. But when it comes to knowledge, when it comes to geography, we always consider ourselves to be better. My current math teacher, he says that when we leave high school, we are supposed to have a certain representative level of knowledge. And that sounds reasonable, of course. I've been going to school for so many years. But how about having this level of education, this level of knowledge, experience in something you love, and a passion? Because to me, it sounds even like a better deal. It's not like Haley was blowing all her classes because she was wanting to be an actress. No, you have to have a certain GPA, like our grade mean, to go into extracurriculars, to stay in drama, to stay in sports. Because if you don't do that, you're off the team or you're suspended. So you have to balance everything out, even though you have different priorities. How students do it? Because I was witnessing one case where the student was about to get suspended, but he really worked it off. He was working so hard and he stayed in drama. But what's most important in this particular situation is that he had teacher support. Because when you're really struggling, it's something you have to do and something you want to do. And in your life, you're supposed to be equal, which we all know it's really difficult to balance. But sometimes I really have to go to the teacher and say, I can't make it. I have a situation, I'm overwhelmed, I also have a life. I'm not only a student, I'm a human being. And I have family, I have friends, there's thousands of ways I want to live, and not only school. And if I don't trust a teacher, if I don't feel that I have his support, I'm not going to go and say that, because so many times it can be considered as a position of weakness. You're just going to be considered a student who can't do things. And I think that when the sense of partnership is lost, when you can't feel that the teacher is supporting you, he's merely an authoritative figure. He's just a person you go to class to and listen to him for 45 minutes and then you go on living your life. I reckon that if we took a step further, a little bit moved away from this rigid barrier of student-teacher that we're holding on so tightly to, we would see that those thousands of total American classes we get to choose from, they are not just so many classes, they're not just so many subjects, but they are ways in which a teacher can influence a student. They are ways of inspiring a person. And unfortunately, this is why 10 months in an American school gave me so much more than 10 years at a Polish high school. School in general, yeah. Thank you.